and the sun is about to set, so it feels a bit strange to talk about sunscreens. But here we are. We are at this point in my 2023 favorites where I will be sharing my favorite sunscreens of the year. In case you don't know me yet, hi, my name is Ulrike. I am a key beauty and skincare content creator and have been since 2015, because I'm old and I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm very happy to have you with me on the skincare journey now on YouTube. And let's get into the best sunscreens of 2023. This first sunscreen, which also probably is my number one if I had to choose just one sunscreen. I did choose 5 for today because 2023 truly was a good year for sunscreens. I did test and review quite a lot. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to check out some of my sunscreen reviews. And most of them were really, really good. There was just a lot of movement on the sunscreen market in Korea. And I think this might be a controversial take, but I think the sunscreen scandal that happened in 2020 honestly has been good for the Korean sunscreen market because the new formulas are all getting tested, retested. They are formulated very carefully, and also the manufacturers that really know how to formulate a good sunscreen are now just the ones that most brands run to for their formulas. So yeah, it's just been a very, very good year sunscreen wise. And one that really stuck out to me that I really liked, there were 2 that were kind of neck and neck for me, but I did decide to go for this one as my number one. Again, if I had to choose one, they're all quite close to each other, but if I had to choose one, that would be the one. By the way, isn't it funny that I was complaining about the sun and now the sun's coming out, casting shadow on my face? The German sun is saying, don't mock us. We are still here, even in winter. So the sunscreen that I chose as my favorite out of all the favorites that I had this year is this one. With its green packaging. You know, the Numbuzin green product just kind of did it for me this year because this is another green Numbuzin product that I have done a full review about on this blog. And it's the Numbuzin #1 Clear Filter Sun Essence. I think it also has a different name. There are 2 names going around. This is the one on the packaging. And this one really just was the most pleasant out of all the textures that I've tried, and the most, to me, most unique. Given that most successful sunscreens today are manufactured by the same manufacturer and they all kind of have the same formula, this one as well. This one just is a little bit different in a way that I found quite special. And that just really worked very well for my skin. This is a Kolmar Korea manufactured sunscreen. Kolmar Korea is the #1 sunscreen manufacturer at the moment and has been since the 2020 sunscreen scandal because all Kolmar Korea made sunscreens from 2020 that were retested or passed with flying colors. Kolmar Korea was really the winner out of all the manufacturers and all the brands that make sunscreens because they were just untouchable. All of their sunscreens were, nothing was wrong with them. They had some SPFs of like 65 and super high PA ratings. So now pretty much all the successful sunscreens are being made by Kolmar Korea. This sunscreen features a new Kolmar Korea formula from this year that is different from the winning formula that you know from sunscreens such as the Beauty of Joseon one, the Round Lab Birch sunscreen. Those 2 sunscreens still had, they are chemical sunscreens, but they had one hybrid filter that is both physical and chemical. So they always give a little bit of a white cast for people with darker skin. This one is a purely chemical sunscreen that should not give you a white cast. I'm not dark skinned, obviously, so I can't 100% confirm, but just based on the ingredients, I would say this should work very well for dark skin. And it is just such a cosmetically elegant formula with very, very reliable new generation sunscreen filters. The reason why I find the sunscreen so uniquely pleasant is because the texture just really feels pretty much sort of oil-free. It does not have any stickiness. It's kind of a runny texture. Again, watch the full sunscreen review, and I don't want to talk too much about it, or it gets too long. So 4 other sunscreens to get through. But I definitely put in texture shots so you can see that it kind of really just has a bit of an essence-like texture. It's not a compact cream. And so I feel it works specifically very well for people with younger skin, oilier skin. It does leave a bit of a shimmer, a sheen, a glow, but not too extreme. It's not matte, but I do think it's not as intensely dewy as some of the other sunscreens, and less so, I find, than the popular Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. It's just a very pleasant formula, just overall very sensitive skin friendly as well. It is hydrating, not that moisturizing, which again I think makes it better for oily to combo skin. Normal skin will also do well with this. It's fragrance free, it's alcohol free, it's got a lot of soothing and calming ingredients, cica, I think Hartley from what I remember as well, licorice, I believe also. Numbuzin really did so well throughout the year. A lot of their products really blew me away. This is a wonderful sunscreen that is something a little bit special in the sort of same sunscreen market at the moment, because they're all kind of very similar. This one to me is a little bit different, a little bit unique, and just beautiful. And the sun has disappeared again. Those were the 5 minutes of sunlight we get in a German winter. Anyway, just had to readjust my camera. All right, we're on to sunscreen number 2. And this one was a very close second. To me, the Numbuzin one and this one are neck and neck, and I both love them very much. This sunscreen I also did a full review video on, so you can watch that to learn more. And it is this one in its beautiful blue packaging. It's a little bit, I did not clean it, so the close-up might look a little bit grubby, but this is what it looks like. And it is from Beplain, another brand that honestly has kind of blown me away this year. And it is the Beplain Sun Muse Moisture Sunscreen, SPF 50+, PA quadruple plus. All the sunscreens that I'm introducing today have the same SPF and PA rating, basically. So this sunscreen, this is another chemical sunscreen, but it is a sunscreen that follows the Kolmar Korea 1.0 formula. So it has a similar base formula as the Birch sunscreen from Round Lab and the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. So it does contain one hybrid sun filter. But it really doesn't seem to leave much of a white cast. Again, on me, I'm pretty pale, so that doesn't say much. But it does, to me, seem less grayish in finish than especially the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen, which honestly always leaves me a little bit gray, which I think comes from that hybrid sun filter. Here, I don't notice it as much. I also think it is superior to the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen when it comes to its overall texture and formula. To me, this is a lot more fluid-like and lighter than the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. It also, to me, leaves less of a sheen. I do think the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen is very shiny. I'm always very surprised that young people in particular like the sunscreen so much, because me, with my oily teenage skin, I wouldn't have enjoyed that. That would have been too shiny. I find this one less shiny. It still leaves a bit of a glow, similar to the Numbuzin one, but again, not as intensely as some other Korean sunscreens. It is very moisturizing, but I don't find it heavy. It really just has this beautiful fluid texture, and that's why I like it so much. Again, watch the full review video to get all the different sunscreen filters, all the ingredients. It is also fragrance and alcohol free, so another really good choice for sensitive skin. Honestly, the only downside of the sunscreen is that it's not as affordable as the Beauty of Joseon one. That's a bummer. I do wish this was maybe more popular so that the price would go down a little bit. But during a sale, maybe you can snatch it up for a good price. It really is fantastic for anyone with sensitive skin. This can work very well for dry skin, but I think also for combo skin, because it really doesn't feel too nourishing or too heavy compared, for instance, to the Round Lab Birch sunscreen, which is very moisturizing and I think a little bit much for oilier skin types. Now, this next sunscreen will probably come as a surprise because I have in fact not reviewed this on my channel and I have not talked about this on my channel, but I have used it a lot in the second half of the year and always wanted to do a full review on this, but it's now gone sort of hyper viral and there were a lot of paid and sponsored posts, so it's been kind of overexposed in a way that to the point where I just felt that maybe if I do another video, it just gets a bit much. The numbers in the green sunscreen also now is very overexposed, but I feel I did my review before most other people did, so it was still maybe fresh enough to have meaning and have value. But this sunscreen, I mean, I've seen it so much on my timeline on Instagram alone that I just felt, and also a lot of huge YouTubers did reviews on it, sponsored reviews. So I felt, you know what? Maybe it's not worth it anymore, but I do have to mention it in my favorites because I really have enjoyed it so much. And I just want to make sure that you guys know it's actually worth the hype. It's not just artificially manufactured hype through sponsorships. Nothing wrong with sponsorships, by the way. If the brand asked me to do a sponsored video on the sunscreen, I'd be happy to do it because I already like it anyway. But it sometimes comes across, I think, to people as if the product cannot be good because people are just getting paid to rave about it. But let me just rave about it here because it really is that good. And it's this sunscreen in yellow and beautiful purple. Honestly, the packaging from this brand is so cool. Here, it's the purple pump. And you can tell, right? I've almost used it up. And it's the Haruharu Wonder Black Rice Moisture Airy Fit Daily Sunscreen. This also has that Kolmar Korea 2.0 formula that the Numbuzin sunscreen has. So it is a fully chemical sunscreen, no physical filters, and that means no white cast. This is such a lovely everyday sunscreen with such a great texture for anyone who does not want a runny or essence-like or too light texture. It is still a very light sunscreen. It should work very beautifully pretty much for all skin types, I would say. And it is more of a compact cream texture. At first, I was actually kind of worried when I used it that it would be too heavy for me because the Birch sunscreen, which is also more of a cream, sometimes feels too heavily moisturizing for me, but this does not. It still is a very light texture, but it does have that compactness of a cream, which means that when you apply it, and especially when you reapply it, it doesn't kind of run all over your face. I don't mind that so much, but I do know some people are annoyed by that. So if you are more of a cream type, and I want to kind of rub it in carefully and know where it kind of goes in a way, sunscreen lover, then this one is a really fantastic choice. It is also alcohol-free, fragrance-free. It is a very minimalist formula that feels moisturizing, but not too heavy. It's so beautiful. It really, to me, is an everyday sunscreen. And to me, honestly, I think this one's better than the Beauty of Joseon one, and you can usually find it for a good price as well. I kind of want to see this overtake the Beauty of Joseon one. The reign of the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen, I think at this point should end because I'm getting a bit tired of it. Just, I don't know. It's a fully fine sunscreen. I was one of the first bloggers actually to review it long before it went viral. So you could still read that blog post, and I really, really enjoyed it and loved it. I just feel a bit bored by it by now. And I feel, it's time for a new generation of favorites. And this one really deserves its viral status. It's wonderful. And then I wanted to also make sure that I have at least one physical sunscreen in the mix, which wasn't easy, I'll be honest. I'm not a physical sunscreen girly. I find them always a little bit annoying. And honestly, I don't feel my skin does quite as well with them as with a chemical sunscreen. But this particular one I really did enjoy and actually use quite a lot, especially in summer. I do feel that a physical sunscreen is just almost a safer choice for me in summer, because with a lot of sunlight, I get, number one, actual sun allergy, but also that allergy that you get from sunscreen, certain sunscreen filters and certain emulsifiers in sunscreen, that when it comes in contact with the skin plus the sunlight, it just creates like a rash. It's not fun. I had it a lot as a child, not as much anymore as I've grown older, but I'm still always a bit more careful and tend more towards physical sunscreens when I'm in a lot of sunlight. And this particular physical sunscreen, I really did use a lot and really, really liked. It does give you quite a bit of a white cast, but the formula overall is still elegant enough to have satisfied me at least. And it's this one from Dr.G, this way. Not many people have talked about this. I think in Korea as well, it wasn't actually super successful, but I might be wrong. I just haven't seen it trending on Olive Young as much, but that doesn't always give the full picture of what Koreans buy. And this is the Dr.G Green Mild Up Skin Sun Lotion. There is a very famous Dr.G sunscreen. I forgot the full name, but it's basically called Green something something as well. I'll put it somewhere. This one is basically the lighter version of that very famous long seller, steady seller sunscreen superstar from Dr.G. And it is said to be a little bit less white casty and a little bit less sort of chalky, grayish in finish. Now, I haven't tried the original one because I've just heard that the white cast apparently is very strong on that one. So I've always kind of avoided it. But I have tried this one obviously a couple of times, and I do think that even though it does give quite a bit of a white cast, I find the white cast, once you apply it and once it sinks into skin, does kind of ease up quite a bit. Now, I have the privilege, quote unquote, to be very light-skinned. Privilege insofar as that, white cast doesn't bother me as much overall. I don't think you will be happy with this if you're very dark-skinned. But for lighter-skinned people, to me, this is a really good physical sunscreen choice, because for a physical sunscreen, the texture doesn't feel as chalky, as grainy, as annoying to apply as so many of those physical sunscreens. You don't have to rub it in forever. It sinks into skin very nicely, and it really has more of a fluid texture overall versus a chalky cream. I'm talking down physical sunscreens a lot, but it's because I really have found very few that have a very nice, elegant formula that pleases me. I'm kind of impatient when it comes to my sunscreens. I just don't want to have to rub them in and work them into my face forever, which is why I prefer chemical sunscreens, who usually just feel like a regular moisturizer. But this also feels as close to a regular moisturizer as I think you can ever get with a purely physical sunscreen. It's also fragrance-free, alcohol-free. It just has an overall very minimalist and very sensitive skin-friendly formula that I can really recommend if you have hypersensitive skin and if you're okay with living with white cast, which you just have to when it comes to physical sunscreen. There is no physical sunscreen with organic filters that does not give a white cast. that is impossible to create. So it is what it is. I have spoken about this one as well. So if you want to learn more about the filter used and the overall consistency, etc., watch one of my many sunscreen review videos where I reviewed this. I will link it somewhere so that you can find it. And yeah, for me, the best physical sunscreen that I've tried this year for sure. And we have arrived at the last sunscreen, and this one is another really special one that really pleasantly surprised me. I had zero expectations on this because this one is a Sunstick, and I am always a little bit unsure about Sunsticks. But this one blew me away. It's really special, really, really wonderful. And it's this one, which I probably can't show you properly in the sunlight. Oh no, it works. Just have to get close to the camera. I've used it quite a bit. Unevenly so, for some reason. Apparently my face is it's a strange form. Because a strange shape, because yeah, you can see that there's like a curve in here now. This is the Abib Airy Sunstick Smoothing Bar. The most important thing to know about this, and one of the reasons why it's so unique and wonderful, is that this is sweat proof and water resistant for up to 80 minutes. Due to Korean cosmetics regulatory laws, a company cannot just make this claim without having proven it. So this should be a definite proven claim, because sunscreens are functional cosmetics. So any functional cosmetic, if you claim a certain function of a cosmetic product, you have to prove to the MFTS, to the Korean FDA basically, that it actually does perform that function. So water resistance is actually something you don't find that easily in a Korean sunscreen. There is a reason why they are so cosmetically elegant, because the water resistant ones usually need a bit of a different formula, and that formula usually, knowing this from the European waterproof sunscreens that I've tried in my life, are usually not quite as pleasant on the skin. This is such a good option for reapplication in particular because of the water resistance. Now, I'm someone who sweats a lot. Unfortunately, it's the bane of my existence and another reason why I'm not a summer girly. And so this was a real revelation to me to have the Sunstick, because it does actually make a difference when I apply it. I can feel that it kind of still stays on the skin and doesn't just wash off the moment I step into the 35 degrees Celsius that we have here in the south of Germany. So I feel just a little bit safer using this for reapplication. What it also does, and why I love it so much, is that it really does have a bit of a smoothing, sort of almost blurring effect on the skin. This works surprisingly well under makeup and sort of almost like a makeup base, because again, it has this pore blurring almost effect. So this works very well if you have large pores, if you have oily skin, because it does also take away quite a bit of the oily sheen, but it doesn't over mattify the skin. It still creates mostly a very flattering blurring effect. So it works also, I think, very, very well for mature skin, which I don't think it was meant for mature skin, but I would really recommend it for that. I also found that the shape of this works very well for reapplication. This is one of the things that I was always nervous about for Sunsticks, especially if they're smaller, that you just kind of can't get into all the nooks and crannies of your face. But this one has this perfect curve that really just perfectly slides into the curvy bits of your face. So I actually always felt very safe reapplying this and not being too scared of not putting on enough. Now, a Sunstick still doesn't really work that well as your primary sunscreen, because overall you will likely not use enough. So I would still always go for a cream sunscreen, a moisturizer style sunscreen. But for reapplication, especially in the height of summer, this was fantastic. Abib is another wonderful brand besides Numbuzin and Beplain that is fantastic for sensitive skin, because all of their formulas, skincare formulas, are very minimalist, always fragrance and alcohol free, I believe. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think they ever use essential oils or any other type of fragrance. And this one, again, I think is so great if you just want sort of a blurred, not too matte, but more on the mattifying, blurring side sort of finish. It's wonderful. So there we have it. The best sunscreens, all Korean, what a surprise, of 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video, despite the weird light changes. I did not expect for the sun to come out. If you enjoyed this video, it would be wonderful if you could give it a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment, because that always really helps us smaller content creators for our videos to be seen in the vast sea of many different videos. And if you're new here, it would be wonderful if you stuck around and maybe subscribe. That is also a phenomenal help for us smaller creators. It's also good for the larger creators, so subscribe to them as well. And I see you again definitely in the next week. I'm still kind of pondering if I should do 2 videos per week, because there's still a couple of categories that I want to go through for my favorites. I want to talk about makeup, I want to talk about body care, and maybe also do one on masks. So there's still quite a lot of videos I have to go through. And I also want to do a trend forecast for 2023. That's coming up. I already have written down what type of trends I want to talk about, and I'm really quite excited about that video, and I want to do that in January so that I have the forecast for the year. And I have so many other ideas that I'm still kind of wrangling with myself if I can manage 2 videos, but I don't know yet. But there will definitely be one. And it's almost Christmas, so I'm not sure when this comes out, if before or after, but I just hope you have a wonderful holiday. Whether or not you celebrate, I hope you get some time off. And I see you again, I think before the new year or right after. So in any case, I hope you have a good week and take care. Bye.